So in Paul's letter that we read today, Paul talks about divisions among us. This thing about, I belong to Paul, I belong to Apollos, I belong to Cephas, I belong to Christ. There are these divisions. There is factionalization. And Paul warns us against that. In the book of Proverbs, there is a fantastic verse. It says, "He who troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind." We should not be divided. And I'm not talking about divisions between Christians in general. I'm talking about divisions inside of our church. And I learned something about that a long time ago when I was in formation to become a deacon. And what I learned was that we were required, every time that there was an opening for a priest in a new parish, that we would go and do something that was called a listening session. And a listening session is just where you sit and listen to the people of that parish, and they tell you what kind of priest they want to have. And typically, those listening sessions were things like you would go to a parish and they would say, "We have a community that has a large Spanish-speaking, community. And we would hope that we could get a priest who could speak Spanish." Or, we have a parish that has an African congregation. And the same thing, we would ask that you send someone who can speak the language and understands the culture. That's beautiful. But I can remember one particular parish where we did a listening session and we asked, "What kind of priest do you want?" And almost in unison, this group said, "We want an Orthodox priest, not a sort of Orthodox priest like we see in some of these other parishes." And I was so taken aback by that I remember afterwards talking to the director of formation for the diaconate and saying, I don't know how to, what to make of this. And his response to me, I've never forgotten and I never will, is he said, "Gary, the bishop has one job: to ensure the orthodoxy of his flock. So every priest in the diocese is an Orthodox priest." And that really struck me because, we find our ways to division. It's sort of the nature of humans, isn't it? We always like to divide ourselves. Some people, they want to come up and they want to take it on the tongue, which is fine. And some others want to take it in the hand. Some parishes ring the bells. Some don't. Some parishes don't let girls be altar servers. And some do. And so there are these divisions. And it's okay to have different ways of doing things as long as you don't find yourself believing that you are better than those who do not. And those are the kind of divisions that we have to be sure that we do not fall into. Because it's just natural to think that the way, the form of how we do things is the best one. And that every other one is not as good. Paul is reminding us as a holy Catholic church that divisions within our church are always divisions that keep people away from each other and from Christ. "He who troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind." May the praise be to Jesus Christ, who is Lord of all.